brick, stucco, and now
try to do it again.
But police say this time the suspect was successful in his efforts to lure a little girl into his clutches. He allegedly promised her a quarter before raping her and ending her life. Channel 2's Mary Murphy is in Passaic, where there is despair and outrage at this horrifying crime. Mary?
Well, Dana, we're at the boarding house where a dying 7-year-old Davina Janeo was found Wednesday night. Police apparently could hear her muffled cries as they tried to bang down the door to room number 9 on the 2nd floor in the house behind me. They were just a few minutes too late. The man accused of raping and then killing the child had just been released from prison 6 weeks ago, and he had served 2.5 years for the attempted kidnapping of another girl. The older sister of 7-year-old Davina Janeo let her tears fall freely this morning while her mother clutched the picture of the child who was savagely killed Wednesday night 3 blocks away from home. Police say this burly paroled criminal, Conrad Jeffrey, snatched the child about 9 o'clock that night, took her to this boarding house on the same avenue, raped her, beat her, then strangled her. The child's sister was there during the initial abduction.
I was playing outside with my sister. Then he took my sister with their hands. Then he pushed her on the floor. Then I don't know where they went.
Although police say Conrad Jeffrey ultimately seized the little girl with brute force, they say he initially tried to win the trust of Davina and her friends, including several little boys, by offering them a quarter if they won a race. It turns out that the children took the bait, and after they were a bit out of breath, Jeffrey allegedly seized Davina. This boarder at the rooming house 3 blocks away told us he saw Jeffrey with the little girl sometime after 9 p.m.
And I asked him, well, what was he doing with the little girl? And I said to him, where are you going with that little girl? And he said to me that was his friend's daughter. And I said, I didn't ask you who it was. I asked you where you were going. And he never answered. He just said that I'd be back in a little while.
Meantime, Davina's mother had already called police. 17 minutes after the kidnapping, they were at Jeffrey's door.
They were banging on the door to get him to open it. And he wouldn't open it. And then when he did open it, they made him get down on the floor. And that's when I saw the little girl, and I don't know whether she was on a blanket or whatever, but she was partially clothed and looked like she was tied up or something. But I know she wasn't breathing.
And what makes the case especially tragic is that other parents say they noticed Jeffrey lurking around other children 2 weeks ago.
Constantly just up and down the street and asking kids questions about basketball and baseball, trying to form teams for the summer to keep the kids off the street.
And this parent we spoke to said she called the police last Friday to tell them that Jeffrey was lurking around the children, and they apparently reported getting similar calls. We've also learned that a relative of Jeffrey's made a down payment here at the boarding house on March 23rd, telling the landlord that Jeffrey had just divorced his wife in Los Angeles and needed a place to stay, a quiet place. Of course, the truth was that he had just been released from prison around that time. He is now in jail on $1 million bail. We've also learned that he has a criminal arrest record dating back 20 years, and we'll have more on that later on today at 5. Reporting live from Passaic, I'm Mary Murphy, Channel 2 News. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Mary. A 6th suspect is now charged in the World Trade Center bombing. Ahmad Ajaj will be arraigned this afternoon in Manhattan Federal Court. He faces charges of conspiracy. For the past 2 months, Ajaj was held without charges as a possible suspect in connection with the February bombing that killed 6 people. Ajaj admits he illegally entered the United States last year with phony passports and do-it-yourself bomb-making books.
Police are still searching for one postal worker wanted for murder after deadly shooting rampages at post offices in Michigan and California. California police are looking for Mark Richard Hilbin, who was fired from the Dana Point post office about 50 miles southeast of Los Angeles. Authorities say Hilbin, wearing a Psycho t-shirt, rushed into the post office yesterday, shot and killed a letter carrier and wounded a clerk. The woman he allegedly stalks for months got away. Police say the suspect stabbed his mother to death and killed his dog before the shootings. And in Dearborn, Michigan, postal mechanic Larry Jason's rampage ended in suicide. Jason shot and killed a co-worker and wounded his supervisor along with the woman who got the job he wanted.
Some of the people who help you on the supermarket checkout line have literally checked out of their jobs this Friday. Channel 2's Vic Miles is in North Bergen, New Jersey, where strikers say this could just be the tip of the iceberg. Vic?
Thank you very much, Dana. Some 300 stores are affected in our area. That's Westchester, New York, and here in New Jersey. The majority of northern New Jersey is where it's happening. Picketing is taking place, though, at only 6 of the so-called superstores. Now, there's one of those in Essex, and there are 5 others here in North Bergen, like this one just behind me. About 60 pickets manned the entrance to the massive parking lot of the ShopRite just off Kennedy Boulevard in North Bergen. They were in high spirits, getting shoppers and trucks to turn around and not shop today. Support for them came from passing vehicles and some upstate officials.
All the locals and the UFCW locals in the from District 1 up in Utica down to New Jersey and New York area are all in support of 1262's actions at this point.
There were some buses that ran the gauntlet, carrying substitute workers. They went into the store with shouts of scab and worse ringing in their ears.
Bunch of scabs. That's what you are. You're taking somebody else's job.
One striker said ShopRite was sweeping the streets, picking up anyone who needed work. But he said they'll be out as soon as this is over. Folks with disabilities got through the lines easily, but those regulars who crossed over caught it on the way out. Some insistent shoppers defended themselves in tones well above conversational.
I have 3 kids. She's got kids. What do we do?
I usually don't like to cross picket lines, but I was already on my way over here this morning. I'm probably not going to shop again until this strike is settled.
Inside the huge store, unmanned registers bore silent testimony that dozens of people were off the job. Strikers were giving the media the silent treatment, but one said, "This will show that we mean business." The inside of the store was very quiet for Friday. As far as we know, talks between union and management are stalled, and there's been no time set for a resumption. The sticking point, health care benefits. Vic Miles live here in North Bergen. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Vic. Members of a gay congregation in Manhattan have less than 2 days to fight a decision that has kicked them out of Sunday's Salute to Israel Day parade. The parade sponsor pulled a surprise last night by announcing gay Jews cannot march because they broke a promise not to talk to the media. But the rabbi of the gay synagogue claims the real reason her congregation was banned is because other groups had threatened not to march if the gays did. The congregation had agreed to march behind a banner that did not include the group's title, New York's Gay and Lesbian Synagogue.
We have a lot more news still to tell you about this Friday, May 7th. Up next, asleep at the wheel.
Or in this case, at the airport control tower, we'll tell you about the air traffic controller who should have been guiding planes instead of taking a nap. And then why
Secretary of State is facing an uphill battle as he tries to sell a plan to force peace in Bosnia. Warren Christopher arrived in Rome this morning, just one stop on his 6-day European mission. The Bosnian Serb Assembly rejected an international peace plan yesterday, throwing the issue to a public referendum. The Secretary of State is trying to build support for military action if the Bosnian Serbs don't stop their campaign of ethnic cleansing. Lisa.
An alarming story this noon for anyone who travels by airplane. A Delta Airlines jet with 42 people on board landed safely last week at the West Palm Beach airport, even though the only air traffic controller at the airport was sleeping on the job. After four flights couldn't contact the tower between 1 and 1:30 a.m., sheriff's deputies came to check things out, and that's when Rodney Tatum was discovered asleep in the tower. Tatum is still working, but he's been reassigned to the day shift.
A painting that isn't worth a penny almost went up for bid at Christie's auction house, and it was expected to fetch $500,000. Take a look at this. It's a forgery of a painting called The Dancers, featured on the cover of Christie's catalog. This was one of the works of art by Latin American artist Fernando Botero that was set to be sold later this month, but a Christie's official got word that the real painting was in a private collection. The fake will probably be destroyed.
It's music and not art that has Reverend Calvin Butts ready to launch a new campaign this Sunday. The pastor of Harlem's Abyssinian Baptist Church wants to silence rappers, saying many lyrics are sexually and racially offensive. Now, on his hit list, 2 Live Crew, Ice-T, Apache, and NWA. Butts says their words glorify violence, drugs, and sex, and denigrate blacks and women.
You still have time, but this is it, your final chance to get a low-cost mammogram.
When we come right back from a break, Frank continues his breast cancer report with a look at Tamoxifen, a drug that some breast cancer patients are taking.
People all over the metropolitan area are discovering that they have a great store just next door.
A&P.
We shop at A&P almost every day. It's convenient, it's close to our house.
They remodeled it and it looks great. We use the A&P 8 o'clock coffee, which is wonderful.
Everything's easy to find, everything's well displayed, well marked. You can find whatever you're looking for.
Great service, everything's wonderful.
It's a great store.
The great store, just next door. A&P.
Snoring. It's more than just an ugly noise. It can keep you from a good night's sleep and drive your loved ones crazy. For those who suffer from chronic snoring, it's no laughing matter.
It could be a medical risk, a health risk.
Channel 2 News presents a simple new treatment that could stop your snoring forever.
I feel great now.
The Snore Cure, tonight at 11 on Channel 2 News. If you're looking for peace and quiet, we'll help you win by a nose.
Not rice and shrimp. Risotto e gamberetti risola, made better by Bertolli. Not cornmeal toast. Crostini di polenta, made better by Bertolli. Only Bertolli, Italy's best-loved olive oil, brings out the true flavor of foods this delicious and this good for you, as olive oil has no cholesterol. If you want it to be better, it better be Bertolli.
Channel 2 News Health Watch, sponsored by Sanka.
It's a little thing. When I have my morning coffee, I like to spread my newspaper out. And for 32 years on the 710 Express, this was impossible. You have to fold it 19 times so you don't cross that invisible line into the other guy's seat.
It's nice to have the time to appreciate the smooth, rich taste of Sanka coffee.
And my coffee tastes even better without the paper cup.
Sanka, everything you love about coffee.
John Cardinal O'Connor has had such a successful recovery from prostate surgery that he was back at the pulpit this morning. The Cardinal celebrated Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral. The 73-year-old Roman Catholic leader underwent scheduled surgery 2 days ago at St. Vincent's Hospital. He was released in good shape last night.
In our noon Health Watch for this Friday, Dr. Frank Field wraps up his week-long series on breast cancer detection with news of a study that could help patients get a new cancer drug. Frank.
Thank you, Lisa. The cause of breast cancer is not known. In spite of that, researchers are looking for ways to prevent this form of cancer.
Imagine taking pills to prevent breast cancer. Well, it could happen. The pill is Tamoxifen, and a 5-year study is getting underway.
The reason why this study was embarked upon was because tamoxifen was used as part of a chemotherapeutic approach in treatment. And in the treated population, 2,800 women at the time in this particular study, the incidence of cancer was reduced by approximately 50% on a recurrent basis.
16,000 women are being asked to join in this nationwide research program. Enrollment in the metropolitan area is low.
But you can help yourself and you can help other women by enrolling in this tamoxifen study and receive numerous benefits, including free physical examinations. We'll have all the details on our 5 o'clock Health Watch. Meanwhile, there is still time to get in on our low-cost mammogram program. Here are those telephone numbers that you can call. 541-WELL in New York City, and Long Island, it's 955-WELL. And in New Jersey, you can dial 1-800-ACS-2345 or call your local American Cancer Society. For $40, which most insurance companies will cover, you'll receive a mammogram, breast examination, instructions on self-examinations, and literature. And of course, I mentioned this is the last day.
The woman yesterday, Irene, said last year she heard you say, Frank, this is the last day, I've got to do it.
That's right. I nudged her, and they found that she had a problem, and she's okay now.
Great, great. Thank you. Thanks.
A study out this week says alcohol abuse cost the U.S. economy $92 billion in 1991. Researchers also said alcohol's economic devastation destroys the fabric of families and the workforce. Alcoholism is the subject of this week's Channel 2 News Red Book poll. Editor-in-Chief Ellen Levine is here now with the results. Ellen, it's such a traumatic effect on the family.
Right, and while we've just heard it in economic terms, women realize that it's a problem, and this study shows a real serious indictment of alcoholism in families. We asked first, is alcoholism a more serious problem today than it was 5 years ago? And 2/3 of the women we spoke to said yes, 25% said no. Which problem is worse in this country, drugs or alcohol? Well, again, about 2/3 think drugs, 25% say alcohol. This is quite frightening. Do you have a close friend or relative who you think drinks too much? 60% said yes, 39% said no. What about our children? Are they drinking more today than when we were young? 75% said you bet yes. 18% said no. Now, what is responsible for the problem? Well, some women think that less beer advertising would reduce teenage drinking. 50% said cut back on those ads. 47% said no. It is almost 100% when we asked, does alcoholism lead to domestic violence? 95% of the women say it does. Only 4% don't think so. And what about the economic implication? Would you support a sin tax on alcohol? This may be a message to the White House. Almost 70% said yes, 23% said no.
And Michelle Marsh recently did a report also about the number of elderly suffering from alcoholism. It affects everyone.
And it's starting younger and younger.
Thanks, Ellen. Frank is back in a few moments with the Mother's Day forecast.
Also, how you two or even your mom can look just like the First Lady, for a price, of course.
Quality time for us is reading wonderful stories together.
For the experience of a lifetime, make time to read with your children.
At Thomas's English Muffins, I'm proud to bake them like Mr. Thomas baked them, over 100 years ago in England.
Now that's a muffin.
Thomas's English Muffins. There's a baker behind every nook and cranny.
After labor of love,
I love you, Mom.
meet the real woman who gave birth to her own grandchildren. Sunday at 11 on Channel 2 News.
I'm Roseanne Coletti with a reminder. The Troubleshooter Hotline is open weekdays from 11 a.m. till 1. So if you've got trouble, call our volunteers from the National Council of Jewish Women at 212-582-0220. And don't miss my Troubleshooter reports weekdays at 5 on Channel 2 News.
A picture, a gesture, a rhyme, a turn. Express, relate, and learn. Art for every kid, not just a few. Art for every kid, for me and you. Art, communication. Art, a brighter nation. Art in education. Art for every kid. Call 1-800-THE-ARTS.
I save on all my shopping at ShopRite.
You can't beat ShopRite's everyday low prices on health and beauty care products.
This sign says it all.
ShopRite is the low price leader in health and beauty care products.
There's just no comparison.
This week at ShopRite, compare our price on Aquanet hairspray, 77 cents. Listerine mouthwash in the 32-ounce bottle, just $3.88.
We save you money
with everyday low prices.
ShopRite does it right.
They gave me a flyer that says free foot exam.
Now he's footing a bill for $1,500.
I would not pay the bill.
A Shame on You report, Monday at 11 on Channel 2 News.
Taking a look at our top stories this Friday, a New Jersey man is being held on $1 million bail, accused of kidnapping, raping, and killing a 7-year-old Passaic girl. Police say Conrad Jeffrey was paroled from prison 3 months ago after serving a sentence for trying to kidnap another girl. On Channel 2 News at 5 today, we will bring you a special report on what happens when repeat sex offenders are freed and go back to communities. Thousands of supermarket workers are on strike in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. Employees are picketing only at 6 ShopRite stores, all of them in New Jersey.
Another gorgeous day. What are you going to do? How about this roll, huh, Frank? Did we ask for more, huh?
We got it. Glorious weather for the weekend. Delightful start to the day. It's now 72 degrees, humidity 37%, just a few fair weather clouds popping around. That ridge of high pressure, that clear area you see right through here, that's building. A dome of cool, dry Canadian air is taking over, and that assures us for a weekend of sunshine all the way from New England down into the Gulf. That dome of high pressure will keep us in nice dry weather with warm, pleasant afternoons and cool evenings. So you can expect readings this afternoon to get up into the mid to upper 70s. For tonight, clear and a little bit cooler. If you're heading to the north over this weekend, temperatures will be on a rather chilly side. 40s for the most part here in town, near 50. 5-day forecast, we've got a winner for Mother's Day. A mixture of sunshine and clouds and Boy, you couldn't do any better than what you see on that 5-day forecast, because all the dry weather will stay with us right through the weekend with very lovely afternoon weather and cool nights and
It's polka dot
black
weather.
and red and red and black. I just
Where are your
noticed.
dots?
Well, I was way over there. I didn't see it.
It's a new fashion statement. From New York to California, not just polka dots, there's a new hairdo that's in demand. Not since Jackie O has a First Lady's hairstyle been so talked about. And now Hillary's hair has a career of its own. Wigs have just arrived in the San Francisco area. You too can look just like Hillary Clinton in any one of 50 different colors. The price, $170.
The highly publicized episode of Geraldo Rivera's talk show that features two women who claim they too have had sex with Joey Buttafuoco airs today. Here's Geraldo with a preview.
Thanks. Another bombshell has exploded in the ongoing saga of Joey Buttafuoco. Months ago, former employees of his Complete Auto Body Shop told us here in this studio that even before Amy Fisher, Joey allegedly had a fixation for local prostitutes. Well, we found two working ladies who claimed Joey was a regular customer. One of them, Tammy, who passed a lie detector test, says her first sexual encounter with the man occurred when she was just 15 years old.
Joey Buttafuoco did tell me he did not love his wife. Amy Fisher should not go down alone about this, and other women who know Buttafuoco and are afraid, hopefully will step forward.
Do you believe your husband never committed adultery?
What was the question?
Do you believe your husband never had sex?
I believe my husband never committed adultery. Ask her what her motive is. Is she looking for free advertisement?
Listen, Mary Jo, I'm not trying to advertise myself, okay? I changed my life around. I think you should turn around one day, go sneak and check up on your husband. You'll catch him out there.
I know that the older woman you saw briefly sitting next to Tammy, Laureen, was shown Wednesday night on another TV newscast, apparently intoxicated and walking the streets. As I indicated in the program that airs today, she is both a crack addict and a prostitute, and that is precisely the point. So her show is today at 4 on Channel 2. Back to the studio.
Story that never ends. As he said, more on Geraldo today at 4 o'clock on Channel 2.
And that is Channel 2 News at noon for this Friday. For all you moms out there, happy Mother's Day. I'm Lisa Rudolph.
And I'm Dana
Inside
Tyler.
their Queens home. On Long Island, the Mill Creek